Man, if you've been keeping up with the Ravens lately, you know this team can't catch a break. Every week, there's a new twist, some new headline, and now it's wide receiver Rashad Bateman making the news, and not in the way any Baltimore fan wanted. After the game, people spotted Bateman in the locker room wearing a boot on his right foot. When asked about it, he confirmed what everyone feared. It's a high ankle sprain. The silver lining, though, is that he doesn't expect to miss too much time. According to Bateman, it all happened in the third quarter when he reached out for the end zone and got dragged down awkwardly. He thought a flag would fly, but nothing came. No penalty, no explanation, just a sore ankle and a lot of frustration. From the replay, it looked like Vikings corner Isaiah Rodgers made one of those hip drop tackles, the kind that's supposed to be under heavy scrutiny this season. You can actually see it on the tape. Bateman runs a stop route, turns around to make the grab, and then Rodgers comes in, wraps him up, and basically drops all his body weight onto Bateman's leg. That move, where the defender leaves his feet and lands on the lower body of the offensive player, has been classified by the NFL as one of the most dangerous tackles in the game. It's supposed to be a point of emphasis for officials, yet it almost never gets called. And this is the kind of play that shows exactly why it should. When the league says it cares about players' safety, this is the type of situation that tests that promise. You can't claim to protect your stars if you ignore obvious infractions that put their seasons and careers at risk. The rule is clear. You're not allowed to drop your body weight like that, because when you do, you risk damaging ligaments, bones, everything. But here we are again talking about another player limping off because of a move that was supposed to be eliminated from the game years ago. It's honestly exhausting for fans to hear point of emphasis every offseason only to see officials swallow the whistle on Sundays. Bateman said it best through his frustration. He couldn't believe there was no call. It's one thing to get tackled cleanly, but it's another to have someone essentially fall on your ankle while you're trying to make a play. The crazy part? This wasn't even an isolated incident. We've seen the same kind of tackle across the league this season, on quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and each time, the league's response feels empty. If you're going to make safety rules, enforce them. Don't just use them as talking points when convenient. Now, the real question for Baltimore becomes how long Bateman will actually be out. High ankle sprains can be tricky. The healing process depends on the severity. It's not just about the pain. It's about how the ligaments recover, how quickly blood flow returns, how the nerves respond. These injuries don't heal the same way as simple sprains. And for a receiver like Bateman, whose game is built on explosive cuts and sudden acceleration, any issue in that lower leg can mess with rhythm, timing, everything. Former players will tell you, there's no such thing as an easy recovery from a high ankle sprain. You can tape it up, do rehab, even get back on the field sooner than expected, but you're never at 100% until weeks later. Some heal in 2 to 4 weeks if it's mild, others need 6 or even 12 if it's more serious. But here's the encouraging part. Bateman actually came back in the game after the injury. He even caught a 2-point conversion in the fourth quarter, which shows some toughness and maybe hints that it's not as bad as it could have been. Still, Baltimore fans have seen this movie before. The team has dealt with injuries year after year, and it always feels like just when the offense starts to click, something like this happens. Bateman was starting to build real chemistry with Lamar Jackson again. His route running looked sharp, his confidence was back, and now this setback comes right when the Ravens need him most. With the schedule ahead, divisional games against Cleveland, the Jets, and that huge Thanksgiving matchup with Cincinnati, losing Bateman for even a few weeks could shake up the offense. Head coach John Harbaugh will probably keep things tight-lipped, as he usually does with injuries. Don't expect a full timeline. That's not his style. But reading between the lines, if Bateman's walking around in a boot and it's confirmed to be a high ankle sprain, we can assume he'll be sidelined at least for a little while. Maybe he misses 1 or 2 games and returns after the mini-bye week. Best case, he's back by early December. Worst case, it lingers deeper into the stretch run. Either way, the Ravens need to start preparing for life without him, at least temporarily. And that's the frustrating part. Because this didn't have to happen. This wasn't a freak accident or a random twist. This was a textbook example of a dangerous play that the league already knows how to identify. The defender left his feet, pulled the receiver down, and crashed all his weight onto the lower body. The NFL said that move would be a priority to eliminate. Yet here we are, with one of Baltimore's top receivers nursing a high ankle sprain because the refs just didn't throw the flag. What's the point of having the rule if you don't enforce it? You can fine players afterward, but that doesn't help the team that just lost a starter. The damage is already done. Fines don't fix ligaments. They don't put a player back on the field. The whole point of the rule was to prevent exactly this kind of situation, and yet it keeps happening. So you have to ask, are referees not trained to spot it? Are they hesitant because the play happens so fast? Are they just focusing on something else entirely? Whatever the reason, it's not good enough. When the league markets itself on player safety, there's no excuse for missing calls that directly put athletes in danger. Baltimore has already had their share of injuries this year, but losing Baitman again feels especially cruel because of what he brings to this offense. He's that reliable mid-range target who can stretch the field without relying purely on speed. He helps Lamar keep defenses honest. Without him, defenses can key in on Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews more easily. The timing with Lamar's throws will have to adjust. The spacing on certain plays will need tweaking, and Todd Monken's play calling might need to lean heavier on the run game. What makes this sting even more is the context of the Ravens season. They started rough, but they finally built some momentum. After the bye week, they've strung together a few solid wins and climbed right back into the AFC North race. The Steelers are fading fast, the Browns have been inconsistent, and Baltimore has a real shot to take control of the division if they stay healthy. But that if is massive. Every week someone new gets banged up. And now with Bateman's high ankle sprain, it's another test of this team's depth. The crazy thing is that Bateman's injury isn't even the only one from that game. Rookie linebacker Jay Higgins reportedly left with a big brace on his knee, and no one even saw when it happened. That's just how quickly things can turn in the NFL. 1 second you're celebrating a win, and the next you're checking injury updates. It's the harsh reality of football, a sport that preaches safety but still puts players in positions where dangerous plays slip through the cracks. And look, no one's saying the defenders are out there trying to hurt anyone. The game moves insanely fast. But when a rule exists specifically to protect players from a certain type of tackle, and it's still being ignored, that's on the league. The refs have to be better, and the NFL has to back up its talk about safety with actual enforcement. Otherwise, we'll keep seeing injuries like this, and teams like Baltimore will keep paying the price. Now, as for Bateman himself, he's keeping optimistic. He's already said he doesn't expect to miss too much time, which is a good sign. But high ankle sprains are deceptive. They feel better before they're truly healed. The Ravens' medical staff will need to be cautious here. They can't rush him back just because the schedule looks favorable. The worst thing would be for him to return too early, re-aggravated, and miss even more time. This team has big goals, and they'll need him at full strength when it matters most down the stretch. So while fans wait for more updates from Harbaugh and the team, one thing's clear. This situation is a reminder that the NFL's point of emphasis means nothing without actual accountability. Bateman's injury could have been prevented with a simple flag. Instead, it's another example of inconsistency and another blow to a Ravens roster that's fighting to stay healthy in the middle of a playoff push. And until the league starts treating these tackles the way they should, we're going to keep seeing players pay the price for plays that should have been stopped years ago. Now, looking beyond the injury itself, this whole situation shines a light on something bigger: the constant inconsistency from the NFL when it comes to enforcing their own safety rules. Every offseason, the league pushes new guidelines about protecting players, emphasizing how they're cracking down on certain tackles, and then when the games actually start, it all just fades into the background. The referees seem unsure of what to call, players don't know what's allowed anymore, and fans are left wondering what the rules even mean. This hip-drop tackle problem is the perfect example. It's not some gray area or subjective call. You can clearly see when a defender leaves his feet and pulls a player down by the hips, landing all that weight on the lower body. That's not football instinct. That's recklessness disguised as effort, and the fact that it keeps going unpunished says a lot about where the league's priorities really are. You hear all the time that the NFL wants to make the game safer, but safety only matters until it conflicts with entertainment. They'll find a guy during the week and act like that solves the problem, but it doesn't. Fines don't save teams from losing key players. They don't repair ankles or knees or shoulders. The Ravens now have to adjust their offensive game plan because a flag wasn't thrown, And that's what makes this whole thing sting even more. Imagine how frustrating it must be for the locker room, watching the replay, knowing it was a dangerous tackle, and still having no accountability from the league. It sends the message that the rulebook is more about appearances than action. And when you look at Bateman's situation in particular, the timing couldn't be worse. Baltimore is finally hitting its stride. Lamar Jackson looks confident again. The chemistry with the receivers has been building, and the run game has found its rhythm with Derrick Henry pounding between the tackles. The defense has tightened up, forcing turnovers and controlling the pace of games. Everything was trending in the right direction. But this team has lived through injuries before. The Ravens have almost built an identity around resilience. Next man up, keep it moving, find a way. It's what kept them competitive even in seasons where they were down to backup quarterbacks or missing half their secondary. But there's only so much depth can do, especially when you lose someone like Bateman who plays such a specific role in the offense. He's not just another receiver. He's that balance piece. Zay Flowers brings the speed and the flash. Mark Andrews is the chain mover, but Bateman is the route technician, the guy who can create separation in tight coverage and win those tough intermediate battles. Without him, the Ravens' passing game risks becoming predictable. Defenses will start rolling coverage toward Andrews and Flowers, daring the Ravens' other receivers to beat them. That's why it's so important for someone else to step up during Bateman's absence. Maybe Nelson Aguilar, maybe Tylan Wallace, or even a bigger role for rookie Isaiah Likely. Whatever it takes, Baltimore has to find that production somewhere, because the next stretch of games could define their season. And then there's the bigger conversation about how this team keeps responding to adversity. You think back to the start of the year when they stumbled out of the gate. People were already questioning whether they could hang in the AFC North. But they stayed patient, adjusted their schemes, and clawed their way back to relevance. That's what makes this group so interesting. They're flawed, but they fight. Lamar's leadership has really shown this season. You can tell he's more comfortable in his role, taking command, lifting up his teammates instead of letting the frustration show. And that kind of mentality matters when you start losing pieces to injury. Because if the team sees the quarterback staying locked in, they follow that energy. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. Whispers are swirling through the NFL corridors as a potential storm brews over a recent clash between the Baltimore Ravens and the Minnesota Vikings. Sources suggest that the league has quietly opened an investigation into alleged irregularities during the game, sending shockwaves through fans and analysts alike. While no official accusations have been leveled, the mere suggestion of impropriety has ignited a flurry of speculation across sports media, social platforms, and locker room chatter. Insiders hint at possible issues ranging from questionable officiating calls to unusual play-calling patterns that raised eyebrows among coaching staff. The Ravens, known for their disciplined execution, and the Vikings, with a reputation for unpredictability, were locked in a contest that seemed to defy conventional game logic at key moments, prompting observers to wonder if something more than strategy was at play. Analysts are poring over game footage, looking for inconsistencies that might hint at why the NFL felt compelled to step in so soon after the final whistle. While league representatives have remained tight-lipped, the very act of opening an investigation suggests that officials saw enough red flags to warrant closer scrutiny. Speculation has even reached the players themselves, with a few reportedly expressing disbelief at the unfolding situation, unsure whether to brace for sanctions or dismiss the rumors as overblown chatter. Social media is ablaze with theories, ranging from conspiracy-laden narratives to more mundane explanations, but the aura of uncertainty remains strong. This isn't the first time the NFL has faced the murky waters of controversy, and fans are once again left to piece together fragments of information and trust that the league's investigation will uncover the truth. Meanwhile, the Ravens and Vikings are in a peculiar limbo, their reputations momentarily suspended in the court of public opinion as everyone waits to see if the buzz will solidify into a scandal or simply fade away as an odd footnote in an otherwise intense rivalry. Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain. The aftermath of this game will be dissected, debated, and retold for weeks, keeping the rumor mill alive and the spotlight squarely on two of the NFL's most storied franchises. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.